Hey guys, this is my video recording for Module 6 Activity, Government, and Policy. I decided to do a little something different because I felt like if I just kept talking about politicians, it'd get boring. So I'm doing something really interesting. I'm talking about my experiences with Mall United Nations. So Mall United Nations is going to be, let me just fix this real quick. Yeah, there we go. So Mall United Nations is basically something near and dear to me. I've been doing Mall United Nations since I was in high school, and I still am involved with it as, to this day, basically. And so what I'm going to be doing and going over is I'm going to be talking about what it is and what it does, and basically why it's so impactful and why I'm basically doing my module of talking about this part instead of doing like a typical interview with a politician. So off the bat, it's what got me started with international relations. It got me started with politics. This is me at the United Nations headquarters. So again, when you go to the United Nations headquarters, you are impacted by a lot by this experience. And like I said, I've been involved with them for over 10 plus years. I've met a lot of cool people over the years throughout the world, and I also get a chance to represent and look at many backgrounds of other like countries and people's cultures and histories and politics. So that's why it's really important to me. National Mall United Nations, this is kind of like taken from the website, but it's basically the organization that I am involved in usually is National Mall United Nations. Short for NMUN. NMUN is the largest and the oldest of the organizations. They usually bring like hundreds of schools over. I was involved with Week B this year, and I think we had over like 1,400 delegates. And again, it's basically you're basically learning what Mall UN does through like what the UN does. So you're doing public speaking, you're working compromising, you're meeting with folks with diplomacy, and really it's a unique experience overall for leaderships and for facilitators like me who get leadership experience with working with basically collegiate level students. Just a little bit about me, real quick of my experience. So I started as a delegate back in 2013. I represented the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and we were in General Assembly 1, which is like the biggest committee, and our topic was like human rights and with women rights. And I've participated in 7 conferences as a delegate, and my favorite country to represent was the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. You have to say the whole thing. But people like to say it as it's North Korea and it's short for DPRK, just because it's usually a very interesting country to kind of be. So here's some pictures of me as a delegate. This is pre Voldemort Kenny, basically with my black hair, and I started dyeing my hair in college. So I call it the rustic brown over here. So you can tell right now it's pretty cool. Time being a delegate, you basically meet a lot of new friends. You basically you really are immersed into the experience, and it's so impactful that I care about this to this day. My role this year, I was a director. So I was a director for the United Nations Commission on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice, short for CCPCJ. So what I do as the conference is, first of all, and this is a year-long commitment. So you have to sign up as a volunteer. You have to say that you're interested in writing and working as a volunteer for basically a 12-month project. So you're going to be writing a background guide for over a year. So basically this background guide is a super, it has annotated bibliography. It is super in-depth. Everything has to be cited. This is like serious stuff. It's a serious document basically saying that here's the topic of what the committee is. Here's what you have to talk about, and here's how you find all this information for the topic. So our project was basically writing about decriminalization of drugs. So we did that for our committee, CCPCJ, and then I was a mentor to an assistant director, again to Catherine over here. Catherine is my AD per se. So basically, you have to be like kind of like a mentor. You have to work with someone. And in my approach, by the way, I do like a 50-50 kind of split. So we kind of took things as a way to learning together. So we're going to do both, gritty nitty stuff, whether it be talking to delegates or to writing the background guide together. Then you have to facilitate a committee of approximately 50 delegates over multiple days. So NMUN New York is a kind of like a 4-day conference, so it's pretty intense. basically I had to use PTO for because I work like with an actual job, and you had to take PTO to basically essentially volunteer at the conference. But it's a good time though. It definitely is worth it. I would take any opportunity to use my PTO to volunteer and help out at a conference. And there's me in the middle. Anyway, so the Edmund staff experience. So I'm gonna go over this real quick, but these are the delegates of my committee, and they get to break out into rooms. I think I have like a timeline in a second, but there's me right there, and basically, again, you're facilitating the work, you're keeping an eye on things. There's a saying we have at Edmund is that it's the work of the body. So this is really a approach, or a hands-off approach, where basically the only feedback I usually give is through edits on the paper that they give me. Otherwise, basically, they've done the research. They are basically the delegates are doing all the work that you can imagine. They're basically getting everything together and essentially, working together in conjunction with their country's policies and positions to basically craft resolutions that will then be voted by the body. So my delegates here hanging out in a caucus room, working together, and you can see there, they pulled up all the hub, which is like our website for all of our news. They have the Google Docs. They're basically working on various draft resolutions, and they're sharing it together because at the Edmund experience, you're basically kind of collaborating. You're talking with amongst each other. The Edmund experience is day one is for New York is opening ceremony, and you're beginning the topic, committee adoption of topic. You basically talk about what topic you want to talk about. Day two is when you have working groups come together. They're basically people who are with like-minded ideas, like-minded positions, and they're going to start working on draft working papers. Day three for me was giving back edits. So basically, there's two, just very briefly, parts of this process. One, you're basically in formal session. So this is formal session. The other slide was suspension of the meeting. And it's a formal session. Delegates are basically going to hear each other's positions. They're going to talk about what they're doing. And we're in the back over here hanging out with the slides over here. But basically they come together and then they have to listen to one another, talk about their positions on the topic. Day four is going to be adoption of resolutions. So basically they vote on what they've been working on. And then day five, sorry you can't see this, but this basically says United Nations Day. So you get to visit the UN headquarters. So being staff, it's amazing. It's a great opportunity. It's something that I really care about. I basically have been coming back for, I think this is my 5th year as a staff member or volunteer staff member. And basically you get to sometimes hold a shiny gavel, but you're really a mentor for others. So this is our chair. Our chair is basically the delegate who volunteered to step up and become a chair, which is basically being a facilitator or a moderator of like formal procedure. So again, Aurora's from, this is our chair. She's from Norway and she's studying in the States. And she decided she wanted to be a chair for our conference, and we accepted her. She had to apply. We did an interview with her, and basically she did a great job. So they facilitate all the conversations during formal session, and then they kind of manage the workload from there. Just to be clear, staff members are the ones who get to do substantive work. So substantive work is when delegates basically do any sort of work on their papers. So only we're in charge of that really, but our chair basically runs the entire process itself from committee meetings and formal suspensions and motions. You raise your placard, you raise your placard and you stand up and you say, I make a motion to open debate or, make a suspension of the meeting. It's a cool experience. And on staff. So one reason why I kind of want to relate back to the class is that being on staff is like a really cool opportunity to meet leaders. And if it's one thing I'm doing with my module is I'm meeting people of color, people of diverse backgrounds. And I feel like this is why it kind of connects back to the class because the class, this opportunity, these leaders, like a lot of these peoples are all over the world, all over the country, and of all diverse experiences. I mean, it is a special kind of person to say, hey, I'm going to spend a week at New York City to talk about and facilitate a conference about the United Nations. And I feel like that a lot of these folks are leaders in their own right. They're people who are really passionate about politics, passionate about what's happening in their communities, and it takes a lot of work and also confidence to step up to really show up and lead a conference of collegiate level people, people who are honestly my age, who are basically, anyway, it's a good time, it's a great experience, and I feel like being on staff, I meet a lot of amazing individuals from all over the world, from like Germany, the Philippines, from Canada, our neighbors, and really we bond a lot. It's like an amazing opportunity because I definitely get to, in a week, I basically get to know who they are, where they're come from, and we only see each other once a year, so I feel like it's a really amazing opportunity. And I just want to highlight this. So one thing that relates back to the class, obviously, is meeting leaders. So obviously, this is the United Nations building. This is our Secretary General over here, and this is our Deputy Secretary General, or DSG, and they basically run like our closing ceremonies at the United Nations building, and that's really cool because you get to step where world leaders meet and gather, and I feel like that's, if I'm talking about diversity and leadership, I have to talk about the United Nations and being there, and some folks in here might be delegates of actual countries one day or diplomats, and then one thing we get to saw that was really cool was we got to meet the Secretary General. I mean, we saw him speak. So he spoke at the this is Secretary Antonio Guterres. He spoke at the United Nations headquarters. We had an opportunity to see him speak with the interfaith prayer. So you had prayer leaders from all faiths come together, and they basically spoke for world peace. And I think that's pretty cool. You see all these leaders come together and they're speaking for world peace. And there he is, like the Secretary General of the United Nations there, and he spoke about giving peace an opportunity, a chance. So anyway, that's really it. So I feel like that I've spoken a lot about this experience, and I learned basically a lot of things that I just you don't get to learn in a work environment. Like you get to work hands-on with delegates, with collegiate level kids, and then you get to also be a mentor for someone over the year, both virtually and in person. And you also get to really bond over the experience of the United Nations experience itself. So again, guys, I really appreciate the opportunity for this class, and I hope this fits in the Module 6 for Government and Policy. So again, thank you so much for watching this. Have a great day, y'all, and I appreciate your time.